so basically, this is there was a concern from GTA in particular, one of the vice presidents, Dante Dinko, that brought up several issues with GTA and the SHPO's office. One in particular is the cable landing project in Tamuning that they're currently building.
Where
we've been
is
working
that?
with them.
Where is that cable landing project?
So when you're going up from Bank Pacific up towards Hospital Road,
okay,
it's immediately when you take that turn, you pass Jimmy D's, and it's on the right. It's going up right now. You'll see it.
Okay.
So it's a multi-million-dollar project that they're putting the cable underneath, and then it's going. This is for fiber optics, right? So
going out
they're trying to enhance the. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're building the actual receiving building that's connected to the cable line, right there. So, we've been in consultation with GTA for quite some time, maybe even a couple of years, working with different archaeological firms with a high probability of having cultural resources there. Yeah. So it came to, they found out that there was some burial of a child, probably in the Latte period.
Okay.
And so that takes the project into a different phase with confirmation of human remains, right?
Okay.
And so basically what happened was, we were challenged by GTA, Dante Dinko, that, hey, this is on private land, and therefore we don't have to do archaeology, right? The local laws are kind of sets a different tone from any federal properties or government properties.
And when you say archaeology, what you're talking about is that process where there's an unearthing, and then there's a proper way of removing and then storing the archaeological remains. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just initiating the science of archaeology.
Okay.
Right. And so whenever you have positive cultural deposits, whether it's a shard, whether it's a slingstone, whether it's a fragmented bone, whether it's a tooth, all of these are indicators of high probability of things further to come when you start excavating and disturbing the ground. And so, we came up with a confirmed burial in that property. And then what happened was GTA trying to use the local laws of private land ownership, saying we don't have to do archaeology. So government, if you want to do it, you come and do it yourself, and you pay for it.
But the project stopped, right? They didn't do any more digging until this was resolved.
It was in that particular area. Meanwhile, they're pushing the buildings all around on the area that has been positively confirmed an archaeological site.
Okay.
Right. So they've got a deadline. They've got millions of dollars to use and to get this going, and and we're trying to work with them as much as we can. To basically our job is to clear the property, so to speak, to assure that there's no cultural deposits, no human remains. And when we find it, we have to care for it. We have to take care of it, right? And do the proper procedures from an archaeological standpoint, mm-hmm. and in consultation with both the company, whoever the company is, and the SHPO's office. Mm-hmm. So we believe we were doing that. And then, so Dan kind of steps in and says, we don't want to play archaeology anymore. Right. He says it in the meeting. He said it in writing. This is private land. And, if the government wants to do it, then the government does it. So I said, okay, we'll do it. We only got 3 people for the entire island, and I can send you the letters back and forth of,
yes,
what we both said. And, to me, it's a matter of stewardship of our people, and protecting what is there and rightfully respecting if we were to find any burials, right? We do it, the military is doing it. We try and do it and enforce it on the private land side, but the private land issues is very, very different from the federal land requirements and the government land requirements. It's almost like playing different totally different games of how we approach it, which it shouldn't be. It should be approached the same way. And that's why I'm trying to work with the legislature to clarify that, right? So back to GTA. I mean, I said, okay, we'll take over, and I think they realized that, number one, we're so short staffed, we won't be able to finish their project in their timely manner. And at that same time, it will take away from us reviewing all the rest of the island and just concentrating on GTA's project, right? Mm. And so they decided to go ahead and continue to work with the private archaeological firm.
Okay.
So yeah, we were hours away from destroying burial with GTA. And I was, we found a way to keep that archaeological firm to have that professionalism of from that side on the job site.
Was there evidence that GTA was just gonna go through it and not respect the archaeology?
They are not going to admit that, and they are going to vehemently deny that. But that was a very strong possibility.
Are the taxpayers footing the bill basically for this archaeological process that is on GTA property?
No, but he wanted the taxpayers to pay for it. He didn't want to continue to pay for it. He said, if the government wants to do it, the government can come in and do. And is he wrong from a local statute standpoint? I don't think he's wrong, but from a moral standpoint, I think he's very wrong.
So, okay, there's the issue of the statute and possible changes, right? But just from a financial standpoint, you said that that the government came in and said, okay, we'll do it. Did the government expend any resources to do that, or did GTA just take it over after some time, or what happened?
No, they were doing it already, and they told us if we want to do it, we do it. So we were preparing to take over, and then when they realized that it's going to take forever and a day to complete, they decided to continue with the private firm to pay for it. We were preparing to take over, but we never did.
Okay, and so what's going on now then, or what happened after that?
So now, he with that, he kind of Dan kind of compiled different GTA projects with us, and now he's FOIAing the shit out of us to get all these kinds of documents, even making it personal, and he's attacking my small business. He's wanting in the FOIA, wanting information about my small business. I'm like, that has nothing to do with Shippo or GTA projects, So
do you feel like you're being attacked and harassed by GTA's Mr. Tydinko in retaliation for this event?
I think so. I feel attacked. That's obviously, his inquiry. I mean, I don't know, Troy, for FOIAs, am I not supposed to talk to media until FOIAs are done, or how does that work?
I don't know what the policy is under the current administration, but from what I understand, government officers should talk to the media and answer questions as long as the answers are truthful to the best of their knowledge and can be backed up and verified. FOIA is a totally different thing. FOIA is a request for disclosure of public documents.
Right? It's only public documents.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Why are you asking that? Is it were you threatened to not speak about something by GTA or?
No, I just didn't know what the the FOIA process was. I mean, do I wait until, because I just kind of went to the AG's office now and dropped off. I said, because they're my legal representation, right? If something were to happen, and because we don't, as a office, has attorneys, so I just literally just dropped it like within the last hour, asking the AG's office to review the FOIA and provide me with legal representation in this, because GTA got their lawyer involved, so they're lawyering up, right? Wow. And so I'm like, yeah, who's going to protect me, right, from that as a classified employee? So
aren't there other GTA cable landing projects elsewhere?
Yes, there is. There's one in PD that's done. There's another one that they plan on doing in Iran, which we are currently working with them. And of course, these are like where that area that they're trying to do that's high probability of cultural resources, right? They're talking right there in the historic district of Iran, right? So we're not going to turn, private land or not. We can't turn a blind eye to this, right? We're stewards of our cultural resources, and we've got to do what's right, And
is there anyone from your side of the fence who monitors during the development to make sure that these companies are being honest?
So we don't have the adequate staff. To be honest with you, I've got 2 technicians and 1 archaeologist for the entire island. In comparison, like Department of Defense on Guam, I think they have 7 or 8 archaeologists total for all their bases. I've got 1, right? And so we do conduct like site inspections, but not the full blown archaeological process of monitoring and excavation and during the studies. Those are all outsourced to private companies on island. And so there's a handful of that. So that's what, when on these big projects, they'd have to, if they wanted their projects to be expedited, they would have to get, the private firms to do that. It'll be, that much more quicker than waiting for the government to do it. Because we're in no. Go ahead.
Oh no! What's the penalty? Both if there's both criminal and civil penalties for knowingly destroying an archaeological find.
There is, I think it's a 3rd-degree felony. With up to $50,000, with up to $50,000 per violation, right? So, for instance, we've issued different notices of violations on different accounts. The most severe, probably, the latest one is the Samsung violation, right, down at the solar farm, and so. They're complying with it. They've acknowledged their violation. The company's so far complying with our requirements and having positive dialogue in the mitigation of what has been destroyed, so to speak, right? Because these are things that never come back, right? You cannot rebuild laddie sets. You cannot rebuild, artifacts, and especially with the burials. These are highly sensitive cultural areas that it is our job and our responsibility as an office to make sure they are cared for to the utmost respect.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat. Can you send me those letters and is there anything else you wanted to add to this?
I mean, just I hate to make it into a personal thing, but man, I think if if Dan just like kind of just did what he's supposed to do, we won't be going back and forth, and his projects will be moving along. You know what I mean? It's like, but he's, I think he's really like, insistent of no longer wanting to, and it's not, this is not a secret. He does not want to pay for archaeology anymore. And I know what his side is going to be. It's like, well, you guys are ridiculous, and you're too much, and it's over. It's just too much of an ask, right? And it's going to be a he said, she said, because he's going to come out and try and cover his ass again and all of that stuff, right? But
but what you're saying is
honestly,
the fact remains that these fines need to be dealt with in an appropriate and a legal way, no matter who pays for it, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the laws, I'm here to execute and administer the laws, right? And like I said, if his stance was, hey, this is in particular the cable landing one, right? He's like, okay, that's private land, so therefore the law says, if the government wants to do it, but it's already an established archaeological site. They found burials. Even if we were to do it, it would be their responsibility as the developer after that, right? So, I don't know why he keeps challenging that, but that's where the lawyers are going to have to come in and figure that out. But that's how we.
This is something that the legislature needs to shore up in the language of the law.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, and they're well aware of that. Yeah, they are well aware of that.
How did the I remember when hotels were being built in Tumon back in the day, there were always archaeological finds. Who paid for those proper disposals?
So Tumon is a sad case of what not to do. And it's a sad story of Guam history, because back in those days, we really weren't, we didn't have too much of a enforcement rights, and things were being destroyed on the norm, right? After what we've learned over the last, really, historic preservation is still fairly new. I think on Guam, the first historic preservation statute was in 1970, right? And it was a one-pager, right? So what we've learned over, and the boom of Tumon Bay was in the 80s, right? So a lot of things were still not set in stone as far as guidelines, as far as requirements, and a lot of lessons were learned. Unfortunately, a lot of things were destroyed and we could never reclaim them. Right now, we still feel that there should be stronger historic preservation laws on Guam. Obviously, to the to the dismay of developers, because that just means, more stringent requirements. But man, when these things are gone, it's gone, right? And really, the developers will try to cut corners, try to save money, try to expedite their projects. And we understand that. But at the same time, we have to also, that's where we have a real challenge, because we want to make sure that whatever the properties are being developed, it's developed, with utmost respect and clearance, making sure that there's nothing there, making sure that there's no, prior burials. And everyone's like, well, the whole island is considered high probability. You may be right, and we're finding that out, right? The Guam history is so strong and so rich that's part of living here, to me, that's my job, is to assure, no matter who owns it, whether it's the federal government and the military, or Tun Jose, or GTA, or Gov Guam, I'm approaching it all in the same manner, right? And just having the respect and the stewardship of that piece of property, making sure that if anything were found, do we learn from it? Can the people of Guam learn from it? Can the people of Guam, build on the data? And most especially if burials are found, can we do an honor respect for that person or those people who have once been buried there for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, and then all of a sudden we're disturbing their peace. So that's where I'm coming from in that sense.
Thank you so much for your time, Pat. I really appreciate it.
Okay.